All right, today we're talking about perimeter and area. This is Chapter 5, Lesson 1. So a formula is an equation that shows a relationship among certain quantities, and formulas are commonly used in measurement. For example, the distance around a geometric figure is called that perimeter. So you're going to add up all sides of the geometric figure to find out what that perimeter equals. And remember to always add on your units to the end of your answer. So over here on the left, you have the perimeter of a rectangle. We have 2 lengths and we have 2 widths. So that can be written like P equals 2L plus 2W, or you can write it as P equals 2 times the sum of L plus W. Understand, some of you, that P is also going to equal L plus W plus W. Essentially, doesn't that, all 3 of these equations, this one right here, this one right here, and this one right here, all mean the same exact thing. Likewise, on the right with the triangle, you're just going to add all 3 sides of the triangle together. So A plus B plus C is going to give you the measurements of that perimeter. So let's take a look here at the first example. It says find the perimeter of the triangle. So the triangle at the right, there's 3 different measurements, and all you need to do to find the perimeter is add up all 3 sides together. So you have 17 centimeters, 28.5 centimeters, and 12.8 centimeters. So you add all 3 of those sides together, and it's going to give you 58.3. And do not forget your units. And in this problem, the units are centimeters. In the next example, now we're going to be just asked to find the length. So you'll be given some information, and you're going to plug in the information that you know to solve for a variable. So here it says the perimeter of a rectangle is 42 feet. So the total perimeter is 42 feet. It says its width is 10 feet. Find the length. So this is what we're trying to figure out. Again, start by writing out the formula for perimeter, which is P equals 2 L's plus 2 W's, and plug in what you know. We just said the perimeter was 42 feet, so right here for perimeter, I'm going to put in 42 feet. And then I also know that the width is 10 feet. So do I have a number to plug in? Do I have a number to plug in for my L? I don't, so I'm just going to write 2L here, and I'm going to add 2 widths. My width here I said was 10, so it's 2 times that width. Okay, now you're just going to go ahead and solve for your length. So I get 42 equals 2 L's plus 2 times 10 gives me 20. The next step is to get rid of any terms that don't have that variable next to it. So the opposite of addition is subtraction. I subtract 20 from both sides. And I'm going to rewrite it up here. That leaves me with 42 minus 20 gives me 22. And that's going to equal 2L. And then my last step there is to get L by itself. So this is really 2 times L. The opposite of multiplication is division. So I divide by everything except for L. And now I'm left with a positive L that's by itself, and that has to equal 11. Do not forget, though, that they're asking for you to find the length. And we know that that length so far of that perimeter and the width is in feet. So your answer then would be 11 feet. All right, next let's talk a little bit about area. It says the measure of the surface enclosed by a figure is its area. So to talk about a rectangle, here's the formula for the area of a rectangle. You've got your length, and you're multiplying it by your width, okay? And understand again here in words where it says product, just understand that that's really multiplication. Down here at the bottom, the area of a triangle, it says that the area of a triangle is 1/2 the product of the base and the height, okay? So here you have a base, which is the bottom part of your triangle. Here, this dotted line, you have a height. And notice how that height is always going to be given to you at a right angle there. That's how you know the distance from the base to the top part of that triangle is the height. And you're just going to take half of that. So it's really 1/2 area, area equals 1/2 times the base times the height. I know that gets a little blurry on there. So let's take a look at what that looks like. All right. So it says the base of a triangle is 12 inches. Now remember, you can just create any old triangle for yourself. So right now the base, which is the bottom part here, they're telling you that the base is 12 inches. So I'm going to write a 12 over here. Then they say its height is 5¼ inches. So the height from the top point of that triangle to the base is going to be 5¼ inches. And then it says find the area. So here you've got your area equals half of your base times your height, and all you're going to do is plug in those numbers. You've got half of 12 times 5 1/4, okay? Well, some of you can look at this and you can go ahead and remember multiplication. A times B is the same thing as B times A. So it doesn't matter which order you multiply these in. You could start by multiplying this. But for me personally, I would look at this because in my head I know I can say, what is half of 12? Remember, of means multiplication. So I know that area has to equal half of 12 gives me 6. And I'm really going to be multiplying 6 by 5 1/4, about by 5 1/4. Remember that when you multiply whole numbers and mixed numbers together, you really are going to set them over 1. You're going to convert this mixed number into an improper fraction. So 5 times 4 gives us 20, and 20 plus 1 gives us 21 all over 4. And now I can go ahead and just multiply straight across. I can go ahead and reduce if I want to before that. I know both of these are divisible by 2, so this goes in there twice. Goes into 6 3 times. And then 3 times 21, my area is going to equal 3 times 21, which is 3, 6, all over 2. And in your calculator, if you take 63 and divide it by 2, you know that the area is going to equal 31.5. And remember with area is always written in units, units squared. So here my unit is in inches. So I would write 31.5 inches. And because it's asking for the area, I know that I have to square that unit. That's very important. As a matter of fact, if we go back to that, oh, I guess they didn't show us on the last page. Just always make sure that when you're talking about area that you're squaring those units. All right, and then on the last slide here, for our word problem, it says, Tyler has enough blue paint to cover 800 square inches. He wants to paint a rectangular stripe on his bedroom wall that is 120 inches long. Find the width of the section he can paint. So the first thing we need to do is understand that he wants to paint that rectangle. We know that it's 120 inches long. That's some key information you need to highlight, underline, or circle. It says he has enough paint to cover 800 total square inches. So the total number of square inches, or the area of that room, is 800 square inches. And our job is to find the width. So we're really looking for what is the width. So what we're going to do then is we're going to use our area for a rectangle, which is area equals length times width. And you're going to just solve to find the width. Okay, so we'll solve for W after we substitute everything in. Okay, so right now, let's plug in what we know. We said it was 120 inches long, and it was 800 square inches. So the total area was 800, and that has to equal the length, which was 120 inches, times W. And now, since this is just a one-step equation, you should understand that that's 120 times W. To get W by itself, you have to divide by everything except for W. So I divide both sides to balance my equation by 120. And 800 divided by 120 is going to give me 6 2/3. And remember that since you are solving for W, area is in units squared, but since we're solving for just one side, or the width, it's really, your unit are in inches. So 6 2/3 inches should be your answer.